Hello everyone, it's me again. I appreciate, 2 videos in 2 days after 5 months off. Maybe it's just a bit of a flash in the pan, who knows. But I am quite enjoying it, I have to say. I was very pleased with the immediate reaction to the video that I recorded yesterday about a potential plan for TV coverage of football and how it could change. And I'm back today to discuss the news that the Premier League are seemingly looking to clamp down on mocking celebrations from footballers. Now, I don't want to sound like an old man shouting at a cloud here. And, this isn't going to be me all of a sudden trying to find things to rant and rave about for the sake of putting it up on YouTube. Far from it. But I look at this and I'm like, what possible reason have you got to fix something that isn't broken? I appreciate someone who enjoys pettiness. That is a part and parcel of my social media account, I guess. And, the mocking goal celebrations that we see from the likes of Jamie Vardy, from Neil Maupay, from Miles Lewis-Skelly most recently, they're part and parcel of what makes football football. It's theatre. It's people's theatre. There was a documentary a few years ago. I think it's called Three Kings, and it looks at the managerial careers of Sir Matt Busby, of Jock Stein and of Bill Shankly, who all grew up and were born very close to each other in Scotland. That isn't really relevant to the point I'm making, but at the very beginning of this documentary there is an interview or a snippet of an interview with a guy. I don't know who he was. He wasn't a famous person. He was just a football fan who was interviewed back in the 70s or whenever it was that this interview took place. And he said it's people's theatre, football. And it's a line and a clip that has stuck with me and resonated with me ever since. And for me, the whole aspect of football fandom, of the tribalism, of the fact that you can suspend reality for a couple of hours on your Saturday or your Sunday, it's part and parcel of it. It's why we love the game so much. It's why we are so infused with the sport as a whole. And to see this quote, I'm going to read it out for you now. It's from, who is it? Tony Scholes, who is the Premier League's chief football officer. And he said, there is a balance. I think we like celebrations. We all like them. Some of the celebrations have been very funny, entertaining, but there's a line. Once it crosses over into mockery or criticism, we would have to deal with it. Now, mockery and criticism, where is that dividing line? Where do you draw the line between something that is, in Tony Scholes' own words, very funny and something that comes over into mockery or criticism? Jamie Vardy, as I just mentioned, is one of the biggest proponents of this particular side of the game. And he scored a goal at Selhurst Park a few years back in front of the Homesdale Road end and decided to flap his arms like an eagle. Now, you can say that's juvenile, you can say it's pathetic, you can say it doesn't have any place in the game. I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was quite funny. It's one of those situations where you're standing there and you go, I need this, because all of a sudden, not only have your team conceded, but you're being mocked by the opposition player directly. But it's pantomime. It's what the game is all about. The Neil Maupay situation with James Maddison, where he scored a goal away at Spurs when he was playing for Brentford and mocked the dart throw. It's harmless. It doesn't mean anything. It's all, petty villainry, shall we say. Why would you want to remove that from the game? I don't get it myself. Iliman Ndiaye, the Everton striker, scored a penalty against Brighton a few weeks back at the Amex in front of their fans, not the Everton fans, the Brighton fans, and decided in similar vein to Jamie Vardy that he was going to mimic a seagull and sort of flap his arms around. Now, he got booked for that. That to me is madness. Why are you booking a player for mimicking the mascot of that club? I know the Bryan's Gunn video, the game's gone montage, is something that gets used ad infinitum on social media these days, including by me. I love the guy that runs it. I've met him. I get on really well with him. And that particular video is an absolute masterpiece. If you're not aware of Bryan's Gunn, by the way, please do go and search him out on Twitter, because he is a genius at what he does. But I felt compelled to send that video out yesterday in relation to the article with those quotes from Tony Scholes, because for me, it was the most apt reason to use it. You're looking at a situation where football is having all of the rough edges knocked off it, and I'm not sure why. You know, why try to fix something that isn't broken? Why try to meddle in a sport which does get people's pulses racing, which does inspire, you know, that degree of tribalism? Why would you want to ruin it? Why would you want to change it? I don't understand. You know, Ian Wright, who is obviously someone who retired a fair few years ago, came through at Crystal Palace, moved on to Arsenal, scored all sorts of goals for the Gunners, and then went on to play for the likes of West Ham and Burnley. He put up a tweet yesterday in which he put a clip out of him celebrating a goal that he scored for West Ham United shortly after Paolo Di Canio had pushed the referee. I'm not sure if you remember this. If you're of a certain age, you certainly will. If you're a little bit younger, you might not. I believe the referee was called Paul Alcock, and it was a game at Hillsborough when Paolo Di Canio was playing for Sheffield Wednesday. He got sent off, or maybe booked, I can't even remember now, but he was aggrieved with the referee's decision and decided to push the ref. And the referee, in sort of comedy fashion, stumbled backwards 5 or 6 steps before eventually falling on the floor. Obviously, at this particular point in Ian Wright's career, that was newsworthy, and he decided that he was going to mock show a yellow card to, I think it was Neil Ruddock, and then he was going to get pushed over. And, you know, it inspired humour. It was funny. You can say it's mockery, but in that day and age, it was just the norm. And now, what are you looking at? A situation where Tony Scholes and the Premier League as a collective would book or send off Ian Wright for that particular celebration. He actually said afterwards, they'd be calling for me to be locked up. VAR already taken away the celebrations, and now this, KMT, which, if you're unaware, means kissing my teeth. And I can't actually get my head around the prospect of the Premier League and the powers that be deciding this is the right course of action to take. You know, it's what makes football football. I am quite a big advocate of the difference in societal makeup of football fans and rugby fans. And with the Six Nations being back on at the moment, of course it's back in the general, I suppose you can say, theatre of opinion. And there was a video that was done when a good friend of mine, Ruben Pinder, was working at Joe, in which he spoke to rugby fans outside a stadium. I think it was before a game between England and the Republic of Ireland, and asked them if there was anything that football could learn from rugby and vice versa. And there was a general level of snobbery. There was a general level of apathy from these rugby fans towards football. And a large part of their disdain or disgust for the sport came because of the tribalism, because of the fact that there was this slightly more hard edge to the way that fans and players and coaches go about their business in football compared to rugby. But for me, that's the secret sauce. That's the magic stuff. That's what makes football special. It's what keeps us going back for more week after week, because it's addictive, because you can get that sense of tribalism out of your system in a way that is constructive and is isolated to the game itself. And, you know, if you're going to remove mocking celebrations from football matches, then I feel like you're on a road to nowhere, really. You know, why would you try to sanitise it further? I've often had this problem as well with the decision that often comes, to, well, always comes actually, to book players for jumping into the stands to celebrate with their own supporters after they've scored a pivotal goal. You know, I think that, I understand it, I suppose, from a logical perspective of crowd safety and making sure that the players are not in danger. But I think, you know, those moments of explosive emotion, that's what you live for as both a player and a fan. And it has always felt a bit harsh to me that someone could score a 93rd minute winner away from home to, you know, seal promotion or something. They jump into the crowd, they get booked. It just feels reductive. And I think there has to be a degree of understanding of grey areas with this. You know, obviously I'm not suggesting that people should be able to do anything and everything once they've scored a goal and celebrate however they want, but there has to be a degree of leeway, surely. You know, I often think as well, you get people talking about how the game was better in my day, that the game's gone these days, and often I think, well, you know, it's just the advancement of technical ability. It's just, you know, the fact that you've got coaches that are far more tactically drilled and aware of what they want from their players. There's a greater degree of professionalism. All of these things are for the benefit of the sport generally. But in this particular instance, I have to agree. You know, I think if you are going to remove that side of people's personalities and stop them from being able to express themselves, you are making the sport worse by definition. You are taking away that spontaneous joy that can come from a bit of laughter, because that's all it is really. You know, no one takes it that seriously. I'm sure the players themselves are not that bothered. You know, in the heat of the moment, maybe James Maddison completely lost his head because Neil Maupay mimicked a dart throw. Maybe Erling Haaland in the moment thought when Miles Lewis-Skelly did his Zen celebration, how dare you? But ultimately, that is, you know, it's part of the game. It's what has always been the case. And if you are going to remove it, then for me, you make the sport no better than rugby in that sense. And that is, you know, the absolute lowest bar as far as I'm concerned when it comes to fan interaction and the tribalism that makes football so special. So that was the main reason for me having this rant today. Hopefully you agree broadly with my point of view. If you don't, then please feel free to let me know in the comments. Also, if you are in agreement with me, then let me know as well. I'm always up for a chat, and if you look at the video that I released yesterday, I've actually replied to every single comment because I take it incredibly seriously, and I want to build a community on here as best as I can who feel as though I'm accessible in that particular front. As always, if you've enjoyed the video, please do consider giving it a like, maybe even subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will look forward to speaking to you again soon. Cheers.